like many people, I am tired of being alive, and I don't know what to do about it. So I play video games. Until recently, I had not considered that the latter activity could be a solution to the former problem, as opposed to a mere distraction from it. Through research and some applied arcane thinking, I've determined that one's avatar in a video game can make as durable a container for the human soul as any voodoo doll or mirror. I plan to use this knowledge not to take vengeance on my enemies, but to extinguish myself. Typically, in video games, the player inhabits the role of the controlled character, but it is equally accurate to say that the player turns the character into themselves. One is unable to totally inhabit the vessel of the maniac protagonist of the Grand Theft Auto game, as this would cause the player to suffer a complete mental and moral collapse. Thus a divide is created, in which the player not only pretends to be the character curating their own movements, actions, and thoughts toward what makes sense for the progression of the game through their avatar, but also as ascribes to the character their own morals and desires, up to a point. As long as the character does what I wish, and his goals are compatible with mine in the context of this game, I agree to exchange agency with the character. This may seem like capitulation on the player's part, but the fact that a compromise is happening at all proves that the game's morals and demands never take full command over us, and that we remain guiding our avatar in accordance with some semblance of our true selves. That said, it cannot be stated the degree to which a game holds sway over a player once they give themselves over to its world. Recall that in life, every individual action one takes erases infinite other actions within the given moment. To move an avatar with the aid of a thumbstick is to temporarily give up the use of one's own legs. To press a button in order to make them use a weapon is to concede the use of one's own hands for this sole purpose for the time being. Consider those who have died of exhaustion in the video game cafe for the sake of their progress, or the father who leaves his infant unattended in order to accomplish a specific task within the game. They make these choices not out of obsession with the game in specific, but out of an overwhelming need for unity between them and their guided selves. The avatar is like the soul of a man trapped in his body, racing against its confines toward either absolution or obliteration. For every act, 100,000 sacrifices. For untold centuries, mankind has attempted to meld the self with the ominous other by way of hollow, fractal representations, be it the crude hominoid voodoo doll or the reflection of one's own face used to conjure Bloody Mary in the mirror. The video game seems to me to be the closest we've come to a full breach between the human and his doppelganger. But as yet, we've not found the ritual needed to close the gap. I believe I may have found the way. A friend had introduced me to a low sort who claims to be a kind of modern-day spellcaster. After a few brief but very convincing demonstrations of his ability, I gave myself no choice but to believe him. Tomorrow, he will guide me through an esoteric procession of small blades, shed blood, bent wire, and celestial shapes, the details of which I will keep to myself. These tasks are long, and in themselves uninteresting, and I should pioneer this new innovation in suicide. I would like to keep it to myself, so that I alone will come to hell encased in amber. When these rituals are complete, I will wait 3 days, then go to a location of my choosing. I have chosen to walk through the museum. I will observe and study the paintings of the masters. I will crest the lips of the Grecian statue with the tips of my fingers while the guards look elsewhere. I will absorb the curious murmur of the crowds, let the overpriced, overcooked cafeteria meals waft across my tongue. I will become one with the place of art to the extent that my body will permit, and then I will leave. When I get home, I will lock my door, close my curtains, throw all of my food into the garbage. I will caulk the cracks in the floor and the walls. I will make my apartment as dark and as lifeless as a tomb. And then, I will sit down to play a video game of my choosing. I've picked a Hitman game, as I find that series to be very immersive and to have a play area with goal paths and artificial intelligence that closely resembles that of the real world. When I begin to play, I will select a level at random, and this is what I am told will happen. I will press the thumbstick forward as gently as I can to make the player character walk at the slowest possible speed. If I should cross a door in my forward motion, I will press the action button to open it and proceed. Soon I will come across enemies. When they begin firing at me, however many of them there may be, I will return fire once for each foe, continuing to walk forward at the lowest speed the game will allow. My character will perish, and a menu will come up asking if I wish to restart the level. I will say yes, and I will repeat the ritual as written above. When I've done this 4 times, I will select a different level at my whim. For an almost imperceptible instant, as I start to level, a deep green will pass over the game that will obscure the entire screen. Then when I start playing, I am to head to the left at the first path that presents this option. And when I come to the first area with enemies, I am to kill all of them. When this happens, I will restart the level once again and repeat this procedure. After I pick the next level, I am told that even as I am sitting still, it will begin to feel as though I am leaning forward, and that the crude components of the level will make itself apparent to me. I will see every building and every car, and every fold of clothing, as an assemblage of vulgar rectangles, circles, rhombuses, and trapezoids. As I send my character walking this geometry will make me ill. I am not to stop moving. I am to enter the first door. I am to come across and speak to the first non-player character I see. Their words will be frightening, meaningless, gibberish. Words that could be words, but are not, and never will be. But now my consciousness will have begun to fuse with that of my avatar, and I will stop comprehending the differences between my living room and the game world. Characters in the game will have astonishingly complex and detailed expressions. I will see saliva when they open their mouths, and see the rage and fear in their eyes when they point their guns at me. The furniture in my home will appear muddy and misshapen, as when I try to feel the arm of my chair, my hand will pass through it. I am told that if I look to my left, I will see an artifact that should only be present in the world of the game, and if I look to my right, I will see myself playing the game, but he will not look at me, and I should not speak to him if I wish to pass into the next life in relative peace. If he starts to look at me, I am to look back at the screen before our eyes meet. When I fire my next weapon, I will feel my teeth disappear when I move my tongue. There will be a warm tingling behind my eyes, and I will feel the floor move and indent under my feet. When I move into the next room, the geometry will fade and the characters on screen will become masses of moving black wires. If I hear myself laugh off to the right, I am to ignore him. I will move into a mass and fire my weapon again. At this point, I will feel myself fall forward, even though I will still appear to be sitting upright in my chair. When this happens, the black mass will return to the shape of an enemy character. He will fire upon me. The screen will turn green again, but it will stay green longer as the sound of the gunshot melts into a long moan. I will feel my finger press the action button, but I will not see it, and the screen will return to normal. But my room and the player character will be gone. Only I'll be standing there in that low-texture wonder wasteland, my skin the color of raw turkey, surrounded by artificial men with a single directive to destroy me. They will be low resolution and badly modeled, but I will know their programming hatred to be as real as anything real can be. From there, it is unclear what will happen next. Perhaps they will shoot me. I won't feel it at all. Perhaps it will be agony, and when I fall down in my blood, no longer real, no longer fully digital, it leaks out of me. Maybe it'll take no time at all for my body to disappear, and no one chooses to reload the level. and maybe my soul will go to neither heaven nor hell, but choose to stay one with the blank screen. My human body erased, my video spirit sleeping in limbo. Turn on the console. I am waiting. Entry 1. They won't die. They just won't. We were dropped here so long ago. I feel like I'm becoming one of them. Every time I hold the lucky button, it always comes up as something good. But that good doesn't do anything. They just won't die. Am I going insane? The others died hours ago. It was horrible. I couldn't bear it. He crawled at me while I stared at his eyes. It looked like he was crying. Crying while he ripped slowly apart and seemingly devoured. It's quite insane. I boarded up areas so I have enough time to write this. For those of you who will read this, if anyone at all. We were split up so quick, it feels like I've been here for years and years, surviving off the only hope that one day someone will come, and I'll wake up from this nightmare. Oh no. The windows are breaking. I need to go. Entry 2. They don't have mouths. They don't have eyes. They don't have anything anymore. When we first got here, this place looked like a gold mine. Shit. What is it now? At this point, I'm just trying to go from wall to wall and get everything what I still can. I can't believe it, but I stole off his body yesterday. Yes, his body. I couldn't take it anymore. I'd taken from everything else. Everyone else. But there was something so different about him. Something that made me stop. I loved him. There. I said it. I loved him. And it's like he's been gone forever. Sometimes I kiss his forehead when I walk by. Is that weird? I have his glasses. I have his everything. Because he was my everything. Anyway, I took the last of his supplies, and I felt like ripping my hands off while I picked them up, but I had no choice. This fan only gets me so far, and I still can't find a way back up. I keep hearing this voice saying help is on the way, but I don't even know at this point. I don't know how long I'll last, and some of these journals might end abruptly. But I need to go for now, before they come back. Entry 3. It's happened. I lost it, and I can't get it back. The one thing that made me even stand a chance, that made me even think that there might be a day that I'd be lying in my own bed, that I'd be hugged by him, that I'd be free. It's not like I saw them. I just stood there, helpless, and even though they're gone now, I have nothing left. I wasted it all. It's not even about luck at this point. I could get more theoretically, but there's 4 of them waiting there for me. And I'm too scared. I'm dug in right now, and I have no idea how long I'm gonna be able to last. Every second, from the softest screech to the simple brush of wind, I feel like the last bit of sanity I have left is being written away with these words. I've dragged only his body in here, and I look at it sometimes. I even talk to it sometimes. He's so peaceful. He's so beautiful. He's so just... I can't even say it at this point. I just want it to end. This started so long ago, and I thought there'd always be an ending. But someone else is dictating everything, and I have no control over it. Please just make it stop. I've started to eat them. I have no choice anymore. The drinks only get me so far, but I need food. I need to eat. I lifted my shirt yesterday, and I could see my ribs. This isn't that teenage girl nonsense of being proud of that. This is real. But would it have made him happy to see me like that? Would he have touched me then? He never looked at me like that. What happened? I thought it was special. I thought he fucking cared. But I just loved and he just ignored. I've taken the new measures to ensure his love for me. I took my knife and carved my name into his chest. He's decomposing in front of me right now. But he can't avoid me anymore. He can't go anywhere. Because he's mine. All mine. I can't help but smile in moments like these. It feels like something is going right for once. Entry 5. I think this is the end. The voices told me. The voice is talking to others now. I thought it was a god. I'm crawling slowly. I'm just crawling to the love of my life lying next to me. Crawling towards the horde because they wanted me. 3 bullets, 2 bullets, 1 bullet. 3 bullets, 2 bullets, 1 bullet. They have me, and they're turning me. They're eating me, and I like it. I just want it to end. I just want to be free. I want to be with him. Hell, I want to be with all of them. Even that creepy one. It feels like I've been in this hellhole for an eternity. Hang on. I think I just heard the god speak. His voice is always covered in so much scary static. I can't tell, but this time it's clear. Yeah, Mom. Just went down. I'm coming. Holy shit, I beat my record. They're all gone. 130 rounds. Next up on Gaming Creepypasta Narrations is Memory Tower. I was addicted to my iPhone. I had heaps of apps that were sorted into little folders like games, utilities, all sorts of stuff. One of my favorites for the iPhone, however, was Tiny Tower. It's a pixelated game where you have a tower, obviously, and you earn money to construct more floors for the tower, restock shops, and make several apartments for the staff of your shops. After creating the 16th floor, I decided to try and scroll down under the tower to try to find the hidden Easter eggs. Under the tower was a canine skeleton, a couple bones, and a soda can. Nothing special, but I was determined to try and find something hidden. So I scrolled further beneath the tower in hopes to find something interesting. After trying a couple times, the game closed itself and I was taken back to the iPhone home screen against my will. When I launched the game again, things were changed. Instead of viewing the tower, I was looking at a pixelated cave that was obviously under the tower. I threw my fist into the air triumphantly, as though I had unlocked the secret Easter egg. But when I tried to take a screenshot, I was greeted with the words, "Don't," in a white pixelated font. It was a shame that I couldn't take screenshots, but nevertheless, I started scrolling down so that I could see more of this Easter egg. When I touched the screen, though, I heard an extremely loud distortion of an 8-bit track. The loud noise startled me quite a bit, since I was wearing headphones. I decided to unplug my headphones, mute the phone volume, and continue with my exploration of this Easter egg. However, when I scrolled down, an 8-bit track started to play. I was quite confused, since I could have swore I just muted the volume, and sure enough, I was right, but since the tune was catchy, I ignored it. It almost seems that the tune was the first 30 seconds of Night on a Bald Mountain? In an 8-bit tune, repeating itself. Anyways, when I scrolled down, the screen became darker and darker, to the point where I thought I'd accidentally locked my phone. Then a bright white light came to life on my phone, and I closed my eyes, and it was extremely painful. It really doesn't help that I was playing in the dark. But after the white light, the screen transitioned to a cabin in the woods. Like everything else in this game, it was pixelated, and there was a family of 3 inside it. The mother and the father were engaged in a conversation while their son was playing with a board game near the fire. I tapped the mother, and I was surprised with what I saw. The screen showed a large portrait of the pixelated person, their current status, and their name and age. Her name was Melinda Ryan, age 30, and her status was contemplating suicide. This made me speechless, fearful, and it caused me to remember painful memories. My mother's name was Melinda Ryan. She committed suicide when I was 10 by burning our house down when my dad and I were still inside. I started to bawl my eyes out when I started reliving the horrible memories of my mother and my father's death. I decided I didn't want to play anymore, but I guess my curiosity got the better of me, so I continued scrolling. When doing so, the phone flashed a series of different colors while screeching other distorted 8-bit tones, and there was this goddamn pixelated text on the back of the screen. Don't. While it was going, I took a screenshot so I could bring evidence for a court case, and to my surprise, the phone actually took a screenshot. When it stopped, the screen showed the same cabin, but the mother and the father were outside this time. They both had pale faces, red eyes, and gray hair. The kid looked quite older and was now looking around with tears constantly falling from his eyes. I didn't want to continue this game, but I needed to see what was next. So I tapped the person who I assumed was me and pressed onward. Turns out I was wrong. The name of the character was Charles Gregg, age 37. I knew the name of this person. He was the forensic specialist that came to our house and constantly questioned me about what happened. The thing that had startled me most was what the status said. It's your fault. Then I heard a voice whispering to me in the phrase, "Don't play with matches, son." The app closed, but I wasn't taken to the home screen. I was taken to a photo folder named Don't. Inside the folder was a single photo. I was hoping this was a screenshot I had taken for evidence, so I tapped and started freaking out even more than before. The photo turned into a video, and it just started playing, even though I didn't press the play button. The video was of a woman that was happily talking to her family, and she grabbed a bottle of what I presume was lighter fluid, poured the substance all over herself and her husband, while the son grabbed the match and struck it against the side of the box. Before the boy threw the matchstick onto their parents, the parents screamed the word, "Don't." It's been 2 months since that incident. I've been to several court cases with the developers of the application, but it turns out they never made that extension to the game, and all my evidence got wiped from my phone. So I just ended up making myself look like a fool. I require constant therapy sessions, and my therapist is starting to think that I might be going insane. She suggested that I go get more professional help, but I know what she really means. I should go to the asylum. She started making the phone call to the main office to get me scheduled for an appointment at that godforsaken asylum. So I grabbed her arm and said in a hushed, desperate voice, "Please, don't." I am not surprised. Not at all. Moving from house to house has been my parents' dream since I was a little toddler. I guess there's nothing else I can do to change it. We'll be moving until my parents are happy. I just didn't get why they had to move a lot. When I asked them, I always got the same reply. "We feel we must." Didn't tell me anything. Neither did it today. They didn't have a job that made them move. They didn't even have a job outside the city. So I didn't quite understand why we moved. This is our 4th house we've moved to, by the way, if it's important for you to know, I guess. But there was this weird feeling about it. This house was different. There was something more about this house that was seen at the moment. I could just not put my finger on what it was. My parents didn't seem to bother, and neither did my brothers. Weird. I couldn't be the only one that felt this uneasiness. Or am I? Ever since I was born, I always felt watched. By something or someone. I don't really know what it is. "This house is wonderful," my mother said to us. I didn't know if I should have agreed with her, but the rest of my family seemed to do. I guess I had to do it as well. I didn't want to be the weird child in the family. I was picked on by my brothers and my friends enough. I didn't need to be picked on more than I already was. and I'm getting pretty tired of it. I did all the chores Mother ever told me to do. It was enough punishment. As we went inside the house, it was different from the outside. I actually liked it. The house outside looked old, dirty, and seemed to collapse at any moment. But on the inside, my gosh, it was like I stepped into another world from the dark, gloomy world outside to a colorful, cheery world on the inside. I saw a good future in this house. I never had one in the other houses, since I knew I would move a half year later. The furniture was still here. I guess the first owner didn't have any idea of selling them. Must have been a rich fella. We always needed to sell our furniture when we moved and buy new ones in the next house. But thanks to this house, we saved some extra money. Then maybe my bratty brother gets happy for once and will finally shut his mouth for some months. I would really believe in God if that happened. My mother and father went upstairs to look at our bedrooms. My brothers and I went outside again to look at the backyard. It was beautiful. A big pool, a barbecue stand, a hot tub. Now I really believe in God. Treehouse, and the list goes on and on. I could continue as my heart desires if I wanted to. My brother went into the pool. They quickly changed into their swimwear and jumped in the pool, all four at once. I'm glad I didn't stand too close to them, or else I would have looked like a wet dog. But as I looked at my brothers having their little fun time by the pool, I heard a click coming behind me. I looked behind me and nothing was there. "Hey, Jenny! Hearing ghosts?" My brothers yelled after them. I looked back at them with an annoyed face. "No, I don't," I yelled back at them, irritated. But I sighed, and I knew I should ignore my brothers, just as Mother said. They were in the state of adulthood. It's not enough to describe these imbeciles. Once more, I heard this click again. Now it sounded louder. After the click noise, I decided to go wherever the noise came from. Of course I was curious. I wanted to know if I was crazy or not. As I stood at the exact spot where I heard the click noise, I heard it once more, but further away. As I came to that spot, I noticed my father in his room through the window. I got relieved somewhat. He was at his computer. That could be the source of the clicking noise. I laughed at myself, thinking how silly I was. Maybe moving from house to house is taking the best of me. But I still had this feeling. The feeling to go downstairs to the basement. Did we have a basement? I didn't know. Still, I felt I did know. It's hard to explain, but I knew where I was going. I went into the garage and down the stairs. Where the heck am I? I asked myself. The room was pitch black, but I finally noticed a little lamp in the middle of the room. I had my focus on it and walked towards it. As I turned on the light, I was startled out of what I saw. Tombstones. A lot of them. As I walked towards the tombstones, I noticed the families. Toddlers, kids, teenagers, adults, and elders. I shivered with fear. How did I know this was here? I ran back upstairs to my parents. I immediately told them what I saw. They just laughed and said I was tired, that I should go back to sleep. It was late at night, so I agreed with them. As I lay in my bed, I couldn't sleep. What were the tombstones there for? Was it the first owners? I had no idea. I began to slowly get more tired and eventually fell asleep. Days, weeks, and months went on as normal, and I was about to turn 18. I was excited and I couldn't sleep that night. I was so nervous what was in store for me, but as I woke up, I heard the sound that I always hated to hear. Mom was crying. I wondered what was wrong, so I head downstairs to her. Father tried to comfort her, but was also crying. I went toward them to ask them what was wrong. The answer would truly scare me forever. "Your brothers drowned in a pool last night," he says. I couldn't hold back the tears. Neither could I cry. I was so shocked. My brothers? Dead? But that wasn't all. But when we came back, they were gone, Father said. Could someone have drowned them, then sneaked away with their bodies? This is awful! Not to mention, this was on my 18th birthday, which really wasn't important right now. but my brothers were gone for good. And I got this feeling again that someone was watching me. I felt I needed to go somewhere. I ran back to the garage towards the lamp and lit it. In horror, it was as I suspected, and I just wanted to pinch myself, hit myself. I wanted to wake up. 4 tombstones stood there. I broke down to my knees and began to cry. This can't be happening. It's just a dream. I showed my parents the tombstones. They were shocked. How could this happen? And how could the bodies have been moved down there? My mother and father began to pack immediately after what had happened, the death of my brothers. The bodies moved down to the basement and the tombstones from nowhere with their name on it. We would go insane if we stayed longer in this house. A sudden heat struck me, also the smoke. I ran downstairs to see what was going on. My parents, in the middle of the sea of fire, screaming in terror. I tried all in my power to stop the fire. It was hopeless. Both went to ashes and tombstones were made. I moved down to the basement once more, and I shivered. I didn't go down to the basement this time. I tried to run outside to get the hell out of there, but the door was gone. There was no way out. I shivered and went down to my knees in fear. I didn't want to eat at all. I was left. At the end, I died of hunger. A tombstone was made of me too, but I didn't move down to the basement as well. Instead, before I did, a blue box popped up. The text read as follows: "You have no Sims left in the household. Quit this household and make a new family." Hey Danny, I know it's been a while since we talked. How you been? Anyways, I was thinking we could get together for dinner at 7. We have a lot of catching up to do. Man, you changed since high school. You have a kid on the way. Get back at me ASAP. Yours truly, Joseph. Danny, I see you didn't get my message, so I'm writing once again inquiring about our plans for dinner. I saw you walking out the church yesterday, but I was far too busy to talk to you face to face. Give me a shout when you receive this message. Thanks. Yours truly, Joseph. Dan, I waved at you today, but you looked at me confused. I'm not sure what the deal is. You probably didn't get a good look at me. You have a beautiful baby boy. I watched him from my parked sedan on the other side of the road. What's his name? Reply when you can. Yours truly, Joseph. Are you being shy? Don't worry, it's just me, Joseph, your old high school buddy. You have quite an impressive collection of pottery. I saw it through your kitchen window. We're best friends, so I knew you wouldn't mind. I talked to you at the supermarket and you gave me the same confused look. Get back at me. Yours truly, Joseph. Why are you so shy, Dan? I just want to talk to my buddy again. You left your back door unlocked, so I went ahead and let myself in. You weren't home, sadly. I did take one of your t-shirts from an open closet. I hope you don't mind. Your scent is extravagant. I hope I can catch you in person. Yours truly, Joseph. You're so ungrateful, Dan. I've tried my hardest to please you and get your attention with no avail. When I brought you that pie, you yelled at me and threatened to call the cops. Why? I'm done trying the nice way to get to you. You're gonna see me soon. Yours truly, Joseph. You're too good to answer me! Well, maybe you'll have a better time responding to your wife. I grabbed her today at lunch. You weren't home, but she was. She has such a pretty face, Dan. I'd hate to see it mauled and disfigured. Reply, and your wife will live. Make a decision, my friend. Yours truly, Joseph. I have noticed you haven't considered my offer. It is fine, Dan. I understand. Even after the human body has been dead for hours, the body is still warm. Your wife's flesh was very tender and hard to cook just right. But I finally got her to my preferred medium rare. She tasted almost perfect. Though she needed a bit of seasoning. I warned you, Dan. You still have a chance to save your boy. All you need to is reply. Reply! Be hasty, Dan! Yours truly, Joseph. Why, Dan? Why let your family suffer over a simple thing? No matter. You're with me now. And we'll have each other forever. The preserving oils have worked perfectly. Your body sits just as it was days ago when I struck you over the head with that wrench. Not even the slightest smell emanates from the closet. No one will know. Glad I could see you again. Yours truly, Joseph. Joseph Arrington was found dead on scene at address and location withheld at 5:24 p.m. Likely cause of death, ingestion of harmful chemicals. Body has been dead for 29 days. A Caucasian male body was also found on the scene, covered in embalming fluids. Further tests needed, but the body was identified as Alexander Timberland. Roughly 70 pounds of frozen human meat was found in the freezer. Incriminating messages were found on Mr. Arrington's computer, but were not directed at Alexander, but a man by the name of Danny. Future investigation needed. Upon further investigation, the messages were sent to a man by the name of Dan Gomez. Dan Gomez moved out of Mr. Timberland's house 8 months ago. He now lives at address and location withheld. DNA testing on the frozen meat found at Mr. Arrington's house matched with DNA of Joyce Timberland and Noah Timberland, wife and son of Alexander. Seymour sits on his bed, clicking away at his laptop, curtains drawn, shutting out the light of day. The sickly pale glow of the computer highlights his sunken features. Facebook is open, typing. Status. I want to see her so much. Update. New tab. Favorites. Christina's profile. A restricted profile shows his dream girl, Christina. A profile picture with no information. He had known her since they went to school together, but never had the courage to speak to her. She was way out of his league, but if she could just get to know him, she'd realize no one else could love her like Seymour did. A notification pops up. Christina Stevens accepted your friend request. A moment passes. Instant message. Hey, thanks for the ad. Do I know you? A look of curiosity peeks on Seymour's face. It slowly turns to a smile. Fixated on the word friend, he puts the laptop aside, overjoyed at the prospect of his new friend. Giggling to himself, he moves over to his wall. Beautiful pictures of Christina placed so delicately decorated. A collage so sweet, Seymour had cried many times in front of it. If it weren't for her friends ruining the photos Seymour had managed to find online, the pictures would have been perfect. They looked much better with their faces scribbled out. The softest hand gives the lightest touch to the center picture of the monument to perfection. Seymour, returning to the computer, ignores the instant message and views Christina's profile fully for the first time. A privilege only her friends can have. Seymour smiles to himself. Christina Stevens nearly finished work at Cafe Blank 5 minutes ago. Cafe Blank? That's not too far away. Seymour resolves to go meet his new friend from work to begin their friendship properly. Who knows? If things go well, he could take her on a date, buy her gifts, introduce her to his parents. Seymour's thoughts turned sour for a moment. Well, he would, but his parents never understood him. He was glad to be rid of them. Putting on his hoodie, he left the house. The sun momentarily blinded him, pausing to think. When was the last time he had left the house? Walking briskly through his neighborhood, he avoided eye contact with any of the seedy locals. A dog let out a bark, which shocked him. An old lady gave an apology, but Seymour had already turned and walked off. In town, Seymour approached Cafe Blank. His body tingled with anticipation. Minutes passed. A lady had approached Seymour asking questions for her survey, but he continued to stare at the temple of his goddess until the lady went away. More minutes passed. Seymour checks Christina's profile on his phone for any updates. Christina Stevens, down by the river, at Roundtree Park, 10 minutes ago. Damn. Must have got here too late. Seymour taps his phone for directions to her check-in. Must hurry, don't want to lose her again. Well, the park might have been a nice romantic setting for their friendship to blossom. The sun should be setting soon. What a lovely scene it will paint. Seymour stops dead. There sat on the park bench, looking out over the river. It must be her. It can't be anyone else. Butterflies dance in Seymour's stomach. He couldn't be more than 10 paces away from her now. A male voice. Christina turns as a tall boy Seymour was sure he recognized sit next to her. She smiles as he hands her an ice cream. Seymour's stomach drops, and a feeling of complete emptiness washes over his body as he watches the two share a kiss. The emptiness bubbles over into a familiar feeling. His muscles twitch and fists clench. How? How can this person taint what is not his? He checks the phone once more. About me. Christina Stevens is in a relationship with David Coleman. Christina laughs with David as she wipes ice cream onto his nose. She takes a compact digital camera out of her bag and pushes her head close to David's as they both give a cheesy grin. Click. David recoils at the sudden flash and insists he takes the next photo, as he was sure he blinked in the previous one. Nighttime, and Christina is just reaching her home, entering her living room with a fresh mug of hot chocolate. She sits down at her computer and boots it up. She takes out her phone. Status: had such a good day today. Home safe now. Night all. XX. Update: computer booted, she plugs in her camera and loads up the pictures. Smiling as she browses through them, she laughs, coming to a picture where David is blinking with ice cream on his nose. She notices a dark figure stood several feet behind them in the picture. She looks through the next few pictures they took at the bench, and the figure is still there. A chill passes through Christina. On to the next couple of pictures of Christina and David in various locations around town, smiling and posing as normal. Next picture. It's one of David posing near a statue. Christina is dumbstruck as she sees a blurry figure in the background. It couldn't possibly be the same person. Those pictures were taken hours apart from each other. Christina taps at her phone to ring David. It goes straight to voicemail. Christina leaves a worried message, feeling unsafe, wanting him to ring her, and hangs up. She returns to the comforting glow of her computer, and something in her newsfeed catches her eyes. David Coleman is going to die cold and alone. The river runs red at Roundtree Park 15 minutes ago. A notification. Seymour Williams has checked into Christina Stevens' house with Christina Stevens 2 seconds ago. Seymour Williams likes this. Are you missing someone? Have you lost a loved one or dear friend? We can help. Life Restoration Incorporated. Using the data gathered by your loss's brain chip, we can recreate your loss's personality and memories within our computers and upload them into a puppet body. Death is a tragic loss. With us, you'll never have to experience the full effects again. You'll have your family member or friend forever. What's dead should not stay dead. And with us, it never has to. Message us at #7825J today. Prices vary depending on insurance, address, area, population of area, and characteristics of the deceased. By world law, #42A, we only serve those who live in underpopulated districts. Our computers only have the capability to recreate notable traits of the deceased individual personality. Our technology is not yet advanced enough to create complete personality profiles. The puppet bodies will die within 47 years, and personalities cannot be recreated again afterwards. This advertisement does not reflect this company's opinions, as expressing such things, if they contradict the world law or the opinions of the government, would violate world law number 63. By world law number 94, all humans and artificial humans must die or be destroyed after a maximum of 200 years. Side effects of the puppet body include confusion, mood swings, gradual degeneration of personality and intelligence, and gradual memory loss. Life Restoration Incorporated, 2160. Most helpful customer reviews. User 4065. Great work! I just had my granddad restored, and it's just like him. I recommend this to anybody whose mind lives in the real, present world and realizes that people don't have to be gone forever. User 3280. I received my restored daughter's best friend about 3 months ago to present to her for her birthday and her friend's parents. He was a perfect representation from what I noticed, but my daughter was instantly scared of him. Eventually, however, they grew closer, and she said it was like having her friend back. Until recently, that is. My daughter said that his personality had begun to change, that he has become more aggressive, and that his mood swings between several negative emotions. I realize that the advertisement states that these things will happen, but I expected them to happen way later on. This is not a quality product. I discourage you from buying a life restoration from this company. User 7326. When mine came, she seemed just like my sister, but something was off. They got their personalities somewhat right, but Julie was such an individual, so different than anybody else, that I'm sure their computers had an extra hard time capturing her personality's essence. If your deceased person had a strong personality, do not have them restored. They will be soulless. User 502. Deleted for violating world law number 63.